Rat lines were a system of escape routes for Nazis and other fascists fleeing Europe in the aftermath of World War II. These escape routes mainly led towards havens in Latin America, particularly Argentina, though also in Paraguay, Colombia, Brazil, Uruguay, Mexico, Chile, Peru, Guatemala, Ecuador, and Bolivia, as well as the United States, Spain, and Switzerland. There were two primary routes. The first went from Germany to Spain, then to Argentina. The second from Germany to Rome to Genoa, then South America. The two routes developed independently, but eventually came together. The rat lines were supported by the clergy of the Catholic Church, and historian Michael Fair claims that this was supported by the Vatican. While reputable scholars unanimously consider Nazi leader Adolf Hitler to have committed suicide in Berlin near the end of the war, various conspiracy theories claim that he survived the war and fled to Argentina or the moon. We watched The Boys from Brazil and Iron Sky.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up what we're talking about this week.
Nazis.
Yeah, so Sean.
Yep.
Sean.
Hi.
What?
Sorry.
Great.
I just have
great.
to do this.
Great.
There we go.
Great pairing this week. I can hardly imagine two movies that are truer to the heart of this podcast and what it's all about. But also, what the fuck are you doing to us, dude? What?
I arrived at that same conclusion about 20 minutes into Iron Sky.
About 3 hours into The Boys from Brazil, he wondered if this... we'll discuss that. Anyway, welcome to Citizen Kane Versus, everyone, where we compare a widely considered great movie or a classic to a movie that is considered to be more on the schlocky side. And we ask ourselves honestly, which is better? My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends,
Sean Jacklin.
And
Daniel Benoit.
Yes. That one was depressed. Your robot is depressed.
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me try again. Again.
Retake. Go ahead.
Daniel Benoit.
Nope, now you're Pee Wee Herman. That's fucking...
Now he's got a skip in his step.
Damn it. All right, I'll work on it. Come back
just
to me
black
now.
out the bottom half of the screen right now.
And this week, we watched The Boys from Brazil and Iron Sky.
Boy, did we.
Two all-around beloved movies. And the connective tissue, I mean, I can't even make a joke about what the tissue is because you've already said it in the last episode. Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
Yeah, secret Nazi sci-fi.
Secret Nazi sci-fi.
Yeah.
And this is an episode where I really think I'm not even going to waste time. Let's get some summaries out because I think it'll be important for this one.
We didn't decide this. Daniel, which one do you want?
I don't know. You want to do a virtual rock, paper, scissors?
No, not on a podcast.
Sean, why don't you do Boys from Brazil?
Sure. Boys from Brazil is a 1978 film with a star-studded cast for the time. Literally every single classically trained and method actor you would want in a film are in this goddamn film. So Laurence Olivier plays Herr Lieberman, who is a Nazi hunter, and he has given information on the arrival of Joseph Mengele, the psychotic, evil Nazi doctor that was real and did terrible things to the inhabitants of Auschwitz. And
prisoners. They
weren't renting apartments.
I apologize.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out this film.
Auschwitz. Yes.
So his informant is murdered by Mengele and the other Nazis that are helping him. Mengele's got a plan. He needs to kill 94 different 65-year-old men over 2.5 years because those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler. And if Adolf Hitler hadn't had his father die when he was 14, when his father was 65, then he wouldn't have turned into Adolf Hitler. So he has to murder all their fathers so that all 64 of them can become Adolf Hitler again.
All 94 of them.
All 94, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And slowly he pieces this together, and we watch the weirdest lemon party in history, and then the movie ends. Mengele is murdered by Hitler's dogs.
Yeah, pretty much.
That is pretty true. Yeah, there's like the other Nazis in Paraguay decide to throw out Mengele's.
Right, the James Mason side plot.
When he's like, we're getting rid of this plan because this guy's asked a couple questions, so screw the last 30 years and millions of dollars.
We're not going to kill him. We're not like, why would we kill that
No, we're just
guy?
going to abandon our master plan to bring Adolf Hitler back. So, none of that. And so Mengele's not happy, and he goes to kill one more of these dads.
Mm-hmm.
And
who happens to be a racist Midwestern dog trainer.
Yeah, like the worst human being on the planet. Really.
Yeah.
like a full psycho. And Lieberman shows up there as well to try and convince him that someone's out to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with the final confrontation between Mengele and Lieberman.
Yeah, that's the lemon party.
That's the lemon party.
I don't get that. What do you mean?
It's an orgy between
look
very
it up.
old people, Daniel.
Just
yeah,
look it up,
just go to lemonparty.com.
Just go to lemonparty.com.
Is that a real thing? It's an orgy between old people?
Yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to bow out of
Welcome
this
to Citizen
podcast
Kane
now.
Versus, a podcast about elderly sexual education.
You still got to wrap it. Even when you're older, STIs heavily transferred between elderly people. So
That's a real thing, right?
that's a real thing.
I guess like STI infections in old folks' homes is like a pretty big
Yeah,
deal.
and like the elderly communities in Florida and whatnot. Yeah, it was a booming STI, whatever. So
I mean, good for them though.
I mean, yeah, good for them. I
still
mean,
getting it on.
Hell's yeah, it's great.
Wow.
Like gives you hope.
Sex is not just for kids.
Okay,
I take that back.
Anyway,
That was the weird way to
Okay,
say that.
Daniel,
Sorry.
why don't you talk about Iron Sky?
yeah, tell us about Iron Sky. And yeah,
Sure. Okay, so Iron Sky starts with 2 American astronauts landing on the moon, and very important fact: one of them is black, and
that is key to
Christ.
this movie.
that is a central feature of this film.
And Dan, and you ain't tripping.
I ain't tripping, although he did trip.
He did trip.
Did trip.
Before talking about how he's tripping. Oh, was that a joke? I didn't catch it.
Oh, man.
So yes.
So they land on the moon and immediately discover a Nazi space base on the moon. The white American is promptly killed, and the black American, I think his name was Washington.
James Washington.
James
He's a model.
Washington is taken into custody and held as a prisoner of war, I guess you could say. Sure. And basically we come to learn that the Nazis, after losing World War II, fled Earth and set up camp on the moon, where they have been continuing to build their master race in hopes of one day returning to Earth and conquering and forming a new world order of Nazis. And one of them, this is
going really well. I want you to know.
I know. Sorry, I'm trying to remember this movie. I just watched it.
Specifically, they're on the dark side of the moon.
They're on the
Yeah.
dark side of the moon, which is why no one's ever seen them before. It's also been years since anyone's been back to the moon, and among the belongings of the American in custody, they find a cell phone, which they deem to be more powerful than any of their technology, which is interesting because they have an entire fleet of spaceships. But they're the first in command there, Commander Adler, decides he's going to go back to Earth to commandeer a bunch of cell phones in order to power their gigantic war machine that they need to eventually conquer Earth. And the entire thing culminates in, I guess you could call it like World War III between...
Yeah.
all the countries versus Germany,
Space
versus
Germany.
space Nazi Germany, and then each other, because after they defeat Nazi Germany, they then turn on each other for ownership over the precious energy resource helium-3. And that's the most sense that I can make of this film. So we can talk about more, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll try and make that plot clearer. But essentially, there are Nazis on the dark side of the moon that have been waiting for 70 years to destroy / liberate the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Sean. Okay. So these movies both have totally batshit premises. I watched them in a very funny order. I want you to know, because I watched just how it worked out timing wise. Because Miranda also wanted to watch a bunch of them, but like didn't have time to watch all of them. So we watched the first half of half and a bit, maybe 2/3 of The Boys from Brazil last night.
Right.
And then
snooze fest. Okay.
And then it was fine. And then immediately passed out. And then this morning we watched Iron Sky, and then I finished the last third of Boys from Brazil on my own.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the thing that I wasn't expecting from the final acts of Boys from Brazil was for it to have a fucking crazier premise than Nazis on the moon. It is the most, it is so batshit. I just wasn't ready for it.
You think it's a crazier premise than Nazis on the moon?
I think it is
Cloning
more
Hitler
ridiculous.
94 times is crazier than an entire Nazi Reich on the backside of the moon.
I don't know, man. It felt to me, I mean, yes, totally fucking bonkers.
They're
absolutely
both bonkers.
But didn't seem outside the realm of possibility or consideration for the Nazis.
I mean, sure. But for whatever reason, when I was watching it, I was like, this is bananas. This is way beyond.
I think
I can tolerate secret base on the moon, sure. Like, for whatever reason, it was just so.
Well, I think it has a harder impact. The turn has a harder impact in The Boys from Brazil because, especially for us, we're watching a dotty old film with a bunch of actors in their twilight years. Doing, like, Olivier is literally just doing films because he needs to make as much money as he can before he dies. That's the only reason he's making films at this point in time.
Great.
So when that turn comes, that it's clones of Hitler, it hits you like a fucking brick wall. And
it's played so seriously.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the problem, right? That's why it seems so much weirder for you, is because this is a movie that's played totally straight.
Yes.
As opposed to Iron Sky, which knows exactly what it is.
Correct.
And that is a fucking freak show of a film.
Like Boys from Brazil wants us to be watching it, being like, oh my God, more Hitlers.
Which Marisa was, by the way. I want you guys to know that Marisa was like,
I'm really glad we have the everyman perspective of Marisa.
That's good. Yeah.
She loved it and then hated Iron Sky. Like,
sorry,
hate.
Can you say Marisa loved The Boys from Brazil?
Marisa loved The Boys from Brazil.
Wow. Okay. I didn't expect that, but all right.
I mean, with
what
the performances therein, how could you not? We're talking Laurence Olivier doing his worst Jewish Austrian accent I can imagine.
It's bad.
He's like, I'm Ezra Lieberman. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I work alone. It's that much. And then Gregory Peck as Mengele is also.
Gregory Peck.
He's like, no, your plan is over. Like, it was also nuts. And then who did Uda? Was Uda Hagen the woman in jail?
Yeah, she was the prisoner.
That's Uda Hagen.
Honestly, I thought was like the best performance in the film.
Oh, hands down.
And then there's James Mason as the evil Nazi cabal leader, I guess.
That's right.
Who is the problem is it's a bunch of Brits, Americans, and Canadians doing German accents, and all their formalist training has told them that they must always hold their lips very close together when they're. Now it's just Irish for some reason, but yeah. So you don't actually get any range or anything from their voices other than silly German.
Yeah, Gregory Becky's like, Bobby, come, I will raise you to be a very fine man one day, Bobby.
It's all weird throat speaking.
Yeah. And then an actor who I've only heard referenced in a song in The Simpsons that I never understood before now. And now I've seen his performance, and now I get the line, which is, who makes Steve Guttenberg a star?
Yeah.
We do. And he is the young guy spying on the Nazis in Paraguay at the beginning. And he is maybe the worst actor I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I wrote down...
That's his name.
Steve Guttenberg. He went on to Police Squad, or the Police Academy movies.
And he also did Three Men and a Baby, right? Which I just watched like 3 weeks ago. So that was a nice little.
He's good. Other
movies.
He's good. He's good in his niche, like Police Academy and Three Men and a Baby. They're fun films, and he's fun in them. Him in Ira Levin Nazi clone sci-fi formalist English theater movie is not him.
Well, he's just terrible. He's terrible.
Yeah.
This movie has performances that are. I started the timer, by the way.
Great.
On time. I started it.
Oh, good.
Right,
and what does that timer mean, Jack?
The timer is a timer, and it keeps us on time. So to keep us from talking forever about the movies, we just have a little timer that means we can only talk for so long in this kind of open chat section of the podcast, and that when the hilarious timer goes off, it means we have to shut it and wrap things up essentially. Yeah, the boys from Brazil. It's over 2 hours, right?
Just over 2 hours.
Just over 2 hours.
It's about 2 hours.
And I like. There's a couple things I noticed about it, which is like, it's a movie that has. It seems like it had the budget to do whatever it wanted.
Absolutely.
Elaborate sets, elaborate decor. Like if it's like, we want to film in Austria in this place, we want to land a seaplane on the Amazon, we want to do this, we want to do that. They could do anything, and they were like, let's dye a little weird kid's hair black and somehow make his eyes blue and do
Context,
weird things and have weird performances.
Yep.
Like
I love somehow make his eyes blue. Like that's an unachievable like movie magic trick.
But I wasn't sure how they did it at the time, because I don't think they had
just contact lenses.
Yeah.
I think they injected his pupils with blue ink.
Yeah. Well, they actually mingled him.
How this movie was 1978?
Yeah. Oh,
right,
Contacts have been around for a lot longer than that, man.
Since plastics became widely available, I'm sure.
All right.
I'm sure.
You feel like that?
Daniel, I wrote down there was a specific moment. I gotta find it.
Oh God.
Oh, wrong movie. That was Iron Sky. Aha. I think the meet and greet scene, meaning when Mengele arrives and he's one by one saying, and Herr Schmidt, good to see you.
Yep.
Herr Mansfeld, yes, good to see you. I think the meet and greet scene is where Daniel yelled out my name.
You know what's funny is that scene really did stick out to me, because I was like, "What? Who the fuck films a scene like this?" But no, I actually didn't really find myself cursing you at all this time around. I was confused.
Really?
You are. I want to spend a day in your brain.
No, you don't.
But no, I thought. I mean, admittedly, Iron Sky was kind of hard to get through, but I thought that both of these films, for what they were pretty fascinating.
I'm shocked.
And what's that?
I'm
You're
shocked.
shocked?
I thought you would open this with like a death threat.
No, I thought I was going to as well, but I will commend the boys from Brazil on the fact that it is, while it is a completely ridiculous and silly premise, it was like wholly original. So that was enough for me. That was enough to keep my attention.
Yeah, it's based
you know
on
what
a
I mean?
novel. Yeah.
Oh, is it based on a novel?
Yeah, but the novelist also helped with the script for this, so it's essentially an original. Yeah.
Right. So because it was unlike any story that I'd seen before, I was very forgiving in my viewership. Although I will say that it almost lost me 100 times along the way just because of how fucking campy it looks. There were so many scenes where I couldn't help but think of like Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah. Well, the meet and greet scene.
Sorry.
Yeah?
Wait, the meet and greet scene. You mean when Mengele first meets?
Every single person, and we get a like close-up shot of him going and shaking his hand and being like, Herr Mansfield, yes. Oh, and Herr Schmidt, it's been a long time. Oh, and Herr Guberman, yes.
And you mean the scene that devolves into like a comedy routine when they realize someone catches on that the room's been bugged. And so there is what is the funniest looking for a bug scene that you'll see in any movie.
Yeah.
Where it ranges from people like unscrewing the receiver of a phone and looking inside and then just throwing it down when it's not in there, to cutting open the bottom of the couch, to just taking dishes off of the mantle and throwing them on the floor.
Smashing them until it's found just kind of on the inside of the wall.
It's like, yeah, it's just by the stairs.
Yeah.
Also, did I miss the scene where he broke into that house and planted that?
No,
that mic?
He got
gave
the
it to the
kid
kid.
to do it. He got the kid to do
Right.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, I did look it up, and they've had colored contacts. You're right, since the 30s. Although I don't think they were like actually contact lenses. I think they were just for movies. They were actually first created by MGM when a makeup artist approached an ophthalmologist to make them for an upcoming movie where they wanted to turn an actor's eyes from brown to blue.
Well, shit.
Oh,
It's
in
a
the
movie
30s?
In the 30s.
And I bet that's because there was no like
1939.
there was no like actor representation or safety guidelines. So I bet the actor whose eyes were changed died of lead poisoning shortly after the film.
Almost certainly, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also confused. Were films not still black and white in the 30s?
No, man.
No, they were. That was like, I think, when they started to bridge.
Yeah.
Really?
Late 30s.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz was the first like big one, and that was 39.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Fuck me. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So, boys from Brazil. Oh, I should mention that because it took me forever to figure it out. The boys from Brazil are the little Hitlers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie never goes to Brazil. We never see Brazil.
Yeah,
We
it's
see
so
Paraguay,
true.
I think, right? Yeah.
Tons of Paraguay. And it's one of those things where you're watching it and you don't understand the Brazil part of it until you have that Uta Hagen scene, maybe, right? You maybe catch on.
Well, what was the
Sure.
explanation
By that
again?
hour
The
15 in.
boys, the adoption agency was Brazilian, or what exactly was the? They all came from Brazil.
I think
right?
so, but I think they weren't
Yeah.
necessarily like Brazilian. Well, I guess
No.
Well, they could have been from Brazilian mothers. They make this movie goes to great lengths to explain the exactness of how cloning works, which part of me appreciates, but part of me is
Yeah, I
like,
wrote down, don't you like the biology lesson that I made you guys watch this week?
yeah, where it's like it's Mengele, or not Mengele, it's Lieberman chatting with this scientist at a university, and the scientist is like, maybe he's done it. and Lieberman's like, what has he done? Tell me.
That's pretty spot on.
I'm thinking you know
was pretty good.
something. And then
I feel like his voice is a little higher, like a little higher pitch,
Is
but
he so
you're pretty
bad?
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's a bit more tight. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, there it is.
That was it.
Um,
that was it.
And the scientist is like, well, come here. And then it's like cut to them in his class, in like a lab, and he has a projector and he's showing full like them extracting cells from rabbit uteri and fallopian tubes and stuff like that, and showing how they zap it with now I know they zap it with UV light to destroy the genetic makeup of the cell of the egg, and then they insert the DNA of another thing, and then when it's fertilized, it's that new DNA that forms the new being.
Yeah.
This is like a 10-minute sideline to be like, hey, this is what cloning is like. And the scientist is like, wouldn't it be great? We could have all these Mozarts and Picassos. And then it leads to like, not Mozart, not Picasso, Adolf Hitler.
Where the audience has already guessed exactly who they've cloned about
like
5 minutes
25
before,
minutes before.
and Olivier delivers this long speech where he pieces it together. Yeah.
In the funny thing too, where the guy, they do, okay, so we have to, because this is important to understand this movie, that the reason why there are, well, actually, I don't know why, I guess there are 94 boys, because it's just to like help guarantee a success, because a bunch of the kids they say have died. I think they do say that like some of the kids.
So maybe there were 100, but 6 of them had died or something.
No, I think it was 94 at the beginning, but I think we do hear at some point that like it's not 100% successful. Like it's not like a flawless thing. Like clones, like they don't sometimes they just die, right? It's not like a obviously.
But, of course,
but if some of them had died, then why would they bother having to kill the fathers of the dead kids?
Oh, right. Then maybe they were all alive still. Well, anyway, the scientist that Lieberman is talking to explains that for this cloning process to work, that there's actually like there needs to be like environmental consistencies between the clone and the original like animal, and which, if that's true, like in real life, I have a feeling
it probably isn't.
It probably isn't, but it's probably referring to more like, if you're cloning a tropical bird, it needs to be in like a tropical environment. It's if it's like a fucking fish, it needs to be in water. It's probably more what he's talking about. But they extrapolate it that the scientist is like, well, let's talk about these boys then. So you say, mother this age, father this age, boy likes art, and you're like, it's Hitler. And they're like, when the mom spoils him, the circle spoils the boy. The man is very distant. The father is distant, dies at 65 though. And it's like, and we're all like, so it's Hitler. It's a little black-haired, blue-eyed kid.
He parts his hair exactly like Hitler did.
Yeah, and he also yells at people.
Yeah,
but also Hitler didn't fucking have blue eyes. Didn't Hitler have brown eyes?
I don't know. Tell you. I don't know. Unless because it shows him like manipulating eyes in the Mengele manipulating eye colors in the first like chunk of bit of the film. So maybe we're supposed to assume that he genetically altered the clone embryo so it would have blue eyes.
Yeah, but
I mean,
maybe Hitler had bluer eyes as a kid, and they darkened as he got older. That happens.
Well, I remember that being a confusing thing growing up. The whole idea that Hitler wanted this Aryan race of really white, blonde, blue-eyed people, and yet
it's like
dark-haired, brown-eyed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Uggo, fucking
fucking freak show.
Yeah, fucking stupid, ugly bitch. But also, if he,
eat shit and die, Hitler. Eat shit and die.
But also, so if he's gonna dye the kid's eyes blue, why not also dye his hair fucking yellow and just go all the way?
Because he's trying to make more Hitlers, not a blonde Hitler. He wants.
Was the picture of Hitler in Mengele's office painted blonde?
Oh, I wasn't paying that much attention.
Okay. I just kept catching it and I was like, why is Hitler blonde in that painting? I mean, it must be a choice, but it's a weird choice. Mm-hmm. But everything in this film is a weird choice.
It's a weird choice.
I thought was
so. But I just want to finish quickly though. So that's why in the key plan of the movie for us to understand of why they are killing the fathers of these boys at this year, when these men turn 65 and the boys are 14 or whatever, is to recreate the continued environment of what Adolf Hitler lived through. And that's supposed to like be reasonable to us as the audience and make sense.
Yeah.
This movie says some really fucked up shit about like genetic predisposition in a way that is like
what it's trying to do is actually say that it's a balance between nature and nurture, right? It's trying to say that like, yes, you have these genetic predispositions, but you have to have the right nurturing in your environment in order to foster those behaviors.
So genetically, Adolf Hitler is predispositioned to be mopey and aggressive and
hyper intelligent,
but
creative.
also really vindictive when he's in a position of power. But you need to help those along by placing him in a broken home and removing a father figure from him at a certain pivotal age.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the movie posits, which is ridiculous. I mean, I have no idea how cloning works, so I watched that whole explanation being like, I don't know enough about this to... I mean, is that how it works? Is that the science behind it?
I mean...
Because if it is, I mean, I learned something.
If it isn't, then what the fuck?
Well, I have to imagine that it isn't, because it's a movie about cloning humans in the 70s.
And literally show a slideshow to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when they started talking about how these certain environmental factors had to be consistent, that's where they lost me. I was like, fuck you, movie. That is not how the psyche works. There are so many other factors that contribute to a kid's upbringing and his personality. Not to mention the fact that Hitler's entire rise to power and his entire the reason why his movement to conquer the planet almost worked was largely due to the socioeconomic situation of the time in Germany.
Yeah.
Which was not present in any of the other countries.
Like you can recreate a boy's upbringing, but like Hitler, the dictator, was the product of like global social economic.
Yeah. So let's follow this plan. If he had successfully assassinated all 94 fathers, Hitler made it past 14. Mm-hmm. Within 3 years, Hitler's supposed to be in the trenches of the most deadly conflict the world had seen to that point.
Yeah.
So was their plan to start World War I again? They were going to get rid of all weaponry past 1914 or so, and just have the world go at it? Is that it?
Yeah. They were gonna send all the kids to Vietnam and keep them alive with their limitless Nazi resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
And they're gonna have him imprisoned for a time. He's gonna write a book again.
Oh right, I forgot he was in prison. Yeah, see, all those things are pretty important factors to the way a person turns out.
And then he has to get rejected from art school when he leaves the trenches.
Not arguably the most important thing.
Yeah,
it's like focusing on like looking at all the things that contributed to making Hitler, and it's like, well, his mother did spoil him a lot. Like
she was very doting.
Just like the falsest correlation you can make. Well, his dad died at 65. Lots of people's dads die at 65. They don't become fucking dictators. In fact, most people. Most people.
Yeah, but lots of people aren't genetically Adolf Hitler.
They aren't also genetic. That's true. They aren't also genetically Adolf Hitler. Played by such a weird kid.
Yeah, that kid creeped me the fuck out. I thought he was great.
Which I think is the point.
Yeah.
But he I had bad dreams about that kid last night after I watched his movie. Like he
suffers from bad hair.
Dude. And which I love. Face. I love the fact that all the boys had the exact same hairdo. Like he was genetically predisposed to stop growing his hair at a certain point.
Yeah.
Or like all the moms kept in touch to keep his hairstyle consistent.
The adoption agency that arranged all these things was like, his hair must be just above the ear. And they were like, what? They're
at
like,
all times.
Must be just above the ear. And they were like, oh, okay.
Wow, they're being real Hitlers about this hair, huh?
These adoption people are fucking Nazis. About hair length.
There were moments in the last act of this film. When, I don't know, you eat a really hot pepper, or for some reason you've lost your breath, and you actually get a little high from just your body overexerting itself to counter something. Mm-hmm. My brain was on a acid trip for the last third of this film, because every single thing I was like, no, it can't get more ridiculous than this. Oh, the men are on top of each other fighting right now. Okay, it can't get more ridiculous than this. Oh, baby Hitler is home. Okay.
Yep.
I loved that fight, by the way. Just the two old men just rolling around on top of each other for 5 awkward minutes. I loved it.
Yeah, apparently it took like 3 days to film because Olivier had cancer by that point, so he just like wasn't physically able to do that. And also Gregory Peck was no spring chicken, so they were just like panting and couldn't do any of it.
Yeah, no fucking kidding. That was the entire time I was like, whose idea was it to write an old man fight scene into this movie? I mean, it's completely necessary.
I dig it. I thought it was all right. If I'm being honest, I expected it to be so much worse.
Sure.
And like the violence in this is mostly really bad. But I like that they don't seem to like they clearly like it was at least directed that they don't know how to fight. So like Lieberman gets on top of Mengele and sticks his thumbs in his cheeks and starts pulling.
That's always a weird move to me, huh?
Good old fish hook.
And that's so great. And the fight starts with Lieberman just walking towards Mengele, Lieberman getting shot like in the side, and then just fighting for longer.
He got shot, like the bullet grazed his arm. Yeah.
No.
But then he takes him
again. It hits him in his side.
No, that's later. That's when he goes for the door, and then Mengele shoots him in the shoulder, like shoots him in the side, then shoots him in the wrist.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's wild. It's all just wild. But then they imply at the end though that kid was like got off on setting the dogs on Mengele and like
that
took
he was
photos
Hitler,
of it.
Yeah. Well, they definitely try to imply that instead of him just being Hitler being like a victim of his environment growing up, he was actually just a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? So he comes home from school.
Yes.
And he walks in the door, and there's two strange, old, bloody men sitting in his living room.
Correct.
And
the dogs are at the throat of one of the men.
The dogs are at the throat of one of them. And the first impulse is to just drop everything and start taking photos of these guys?
Correct.
For a psychopath, yes.
Or is it because he's an artist?
No, I mean, he's got an Insta that he wants to blow up, you know?
Yeah. Those
He's got a what?
Polaroids.
An Insta.
He's got an...
Got to update that story. Like, that's going to be hot for the kids at school. They got to know now.
Right.
You know? And there's no photograph. It didn't happen. So he knows that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, super, super weird. Although I will say, that kid had, I think, the best accent work of anybody in this film.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And like quite the task. He had to, what was it? He had American, British, German.
It was
that it?
Austrian.
The German was bad. German was bad.
Yeah. But
and they had him in his little like German outfit, his like lederhosen, clarinet.
And so were all the mothers that carried him to term, they all had to be the same age because they all had to be the same age that Hitler's mother was when she got pregnant with Hitler.
Correct.
So I was
Does that
very
matter?
unclear.
I don't know.
I was
because they were all adopted, right?
No, he means the biological mothers.
Yeah. They were. Oh, were they adopted? I thought
they were all adopted. There's the whole.
They were all adopted.
Adopted.
Then why is there the scene where he's going through the old surgery lab and he's flashing back to all of the mothers lined up with their legs up in the air?
Yeah, because they were making all these babies and then they distributed them. I don't think it mattered how old those women were though.
Oh, okay. So those women weren't the mothers because they were all fair-haired.
No, they weren't.
No, they were all adopted.
They were all adopted. So they probably chose fair. They probably were all Aryan about it. But then they just distributed the kiddos to the appropriate pairings of like really specific
right
married
so
couples.
Then was the underground hospital in Brazil?
It must be.
Yeah.
Or was it it wasn't Paraguay. It was
because he'd fled his estate at that point. So if they're the boys from Brazil, they were cloned and adopted from Brazil. So we did see Brazil. We saw his flashback when he picked up the jaguar teeth necklace, which for some reason has meaning.
Is
we're
that what they were?
know?
I thought they were shark teeth.
I was like, are they wolf
I think they're cat teeth.
Are they eagle talons?
It was weird.
So the island he had though, the island where he lived, where he had all those humans that he was experimenting on.
Yeah.
That was Brazil.
No, that was Paraguay.
I think
that was still
Paraguay
Paraguay.
Yeah.
So then when was he? Because when he picks up the necklace of shark teeth,
Yeah.
that's just across
That's in
the
Brazil.
river. No, that's
he's
yeah,
fled.
that's it.
He's fled. 'Cause
No.
they come for him and they burn his estate down. So he flees and he goes back to the surgery lab. Isn't that when that happened?
I thought he was in that burnt down, like, dilapidated building that was just across the water that used to be the shrine that kids used to come and worship at or some shit.
because when he goes to the old burnt laboratory, it's earlier in the movie than it's like near the end of the movie when his Paraguay home gets burnt down. I didn't fully understand what was happening. There was like someone who had been shot on the grass, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And then they tore. It just seems like
James Mason.
I think that was his topless maid who got shot the first time.
Oh yeah. There was a lot, and the poor like English country girl who gets who has to die because the German was horny before he murdered Batman's butler.
What?
Wait,
Don't you remember the part where Batman's butler, who from the Tim Burton Batmans, he comes home and the German assassin is up in the pretty blonde's room. They're having sex.
Right.
Yeah.
She has to die just because the assassin was horny before he murdered Batman's butler.
It was him, eh? It was Alfred?
Yeah.
That's where I knew him from.
Like,
For a second, I was like, is that Ian McKellen?
Wait, the Coca-Cola
it wasn't.
salesman? It's a throwback if you
Throwback
are really
to
familiar with the Tim
1997.
Burton Batman VHS movies.
Also,
That
did
came with
anyone else think that a young Steve Guttenberg looked like a kind of young or like middle-aged Seth Rogen without a beard?
Or the humor.
Or the humor or skill?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. When you put it like that, yeah.
He was so bad. I was giving this movie props off the top because I thought there were certain things that I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I can get into this movie.
It starts without like no dialogue for like a few minutes, which is always nice.
There's some really great camera work in the first act of this film. And they killed Steve Guttenberg, who I thought was going to be our lead. And I went, oh shit, way to go movie. You made me dodge when I should have dove, you know? But that is the last good note I have of this movie.
Had you never seen this movie before?
Was that a dodgeball reference?
Might have been.
So this was your first...
Dodge, I said duck.
This was your first time watching this movie?
Yes.
So how did you come up with this pairing? Did you go looking for Nazi sci-fi films online or what?
No, I remember this is a movie, one of those like early childhood movies. I remember my parents mentioning this movie sometime before, and they said something about, oh, it's like Hitler clones in the 70s or something, and I went, that's fucking weird. So I've always had it in the back of my head, and then there was Iron Sky, which also had hidden Nazis, and I thought this is too good a pairing to pass up. And boy, was I wrong.
No, it was a good pairing. I think, you know what?
No, it's a great pairing.
I think what Iron Sky was missing was an army of Hitler clones. If we had some like Clone War shit happening and they were all just direct clones of Adolf Hitler,
that'd have been funny.
Now we're talking, because Iron Sky was like inching towards Star Wars territory already.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It really wanted to kind of be that. So I feel like we could have had like a Hitler Clone Wars.
Well, should we switch over to Iron Sky?
Oh, yeah, let's.
Yeah.
How much time do we have left in the good old timer there, Jackie boy?
Oh, we got like almost 30 minutes.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's more than enough time to talk about Iron Sky.
That's way more time than we need.
So let me just preface this whole discussion by saying that I chose this movie because I remembered how pretty cool the final space battle was and how it's fun, it's energetic, and that is...
So wait, you'd seen this before?
I've seen this, I think, twice
okay.
in university.
Right. Okay.
And I remembered so distinctly this space battle, and I was like, this is really cool. This movie's pretty fun. It'll be a great pairing, without stopping to consider why it was the only piece of the film I remembered.
So I want to give quick context to this movie because I looked up. So like, there's funny things I noticed like in the credits where it's like special thanks to the Iron Sky community, like online. Like we couldn't have done it without you, and I wanted to like find out what that meant, and I couldn't find
I think it was partly
What that
crowdfunded, and
was.
certainly the sequel was mostly crowdfunded.
I think it was the sequel was almost entirely crowdfunded, right? Because
Right.
the production company that made this movie is now bankrupt.
Yes. As of like 2 weeks ago. I'm not joking. The like Iron Sky Production Co.
Yeah.
literally went bankrupt October 12th.
I mean, the
Yeah.
pandemic takes many casualties.
There you go.
So which is like a couple of weeks from when we filmed this episode. So it like I looked, I was like, oh, that's like really recent. Yeah, they made a trailer. The trailer for this movie, I looked it up to be like, okay, what, because I didn't know either of them. I was like, when, like we talked about, like, when do I want to watch each of these movies? And I looked at the trailers, and the trailer from Boys from Brazil is so horribly bad.
All trailers before 2006 are pretty terrible.
They really didn't know what they were doing. And the trailer for Iron Sky is like pretty cool. It's got the cool like rock and roll Wagner stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it looks ridiculous. But this movie, they just made a trailer and they went to one of the, like, to Cannes or something like that, to one of the major film fests.
Yeah.
And they just like showed their trailer and was like, anyone want to fund this at all?
money?
And like a couple people were like, yeah, all right, sure, we'll help. It's like some Finnish. It was made by Finnish people.
This
which
is the most Finnish film I have ever watched.
I think I also read a statistic that this is the most expensive Finnish movie ever made.
Oh, I'm
think
sorry, Finland.
I think it might be. I think that's right. It
For like 8 million euros or 7 million euros. Like
Really?
something, yeah.
I mean, for
Which
that
is like
much,
$14 million American.
yeah, and for that much money, I gotta say the CG is surprisingly good. It's
Yeah.
not like it's not. It's one of those things where like they kind of leaned into it, that it's not looking it's not looking like photorealistic, but it has a kind of style, and it has a kind of like this like murky. They're on the moon and like these like just lifeless like iron like bases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, yeah, I kind of.
Well, it reminded me
It did
of-
its job fine. It was fine.
It reminded me a lot of like it had a bit of like a Sin City kind of graphic novelty vibe.
Yeah,
or like,
it did.
what was that movie? Sucker Punch. Remember that movie from
Yeah.
a
I never
few years
saw it,
back?
but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so-
got that like neo-noir tint to it.
Yes. They like they
But-
very clearly tinted it to help the look. Yeah.
Yeah, but they also really lean into the CG everything to kind of like fuse the worlds of like reality and
Yeah.
and CGI.
They gave
and
it
not
the
in a
George
way-
Lucas treatment.
kind of, but better.
Yeah.
I would
yeah.
say.
It like looks better than like an
Yeah,
old,
because
like,
they do a better job of melding them together in like the finished image, as opposed to the Star Wars prequels, which is just a
Finished
fucking
image?
finish. I see what
Boo.
you did there.
Finish image?
Don't repeat
And
it.
so and like some of the design, like I liked some of the design choices. Like I liked how the costumes for the space Nazis I thought were really good.
Yeah.
I thought like the space suits in general were all creative and fun. That's a positive, I
What
suppose.
did you think of the skin bleaching?
Man, it had me tripping.
It also wasn't very good.
It
No, it was bad
he still looked like
He's put like
gold
face
makeup
cream.
for some reason. Yeah.
yeah, the scientist on the moon base, when they've captured James Washington, they're like also dumb Nazis. So they use albino serum and they make him albino. So he's no longer black, and they think this is helping him. And then they blast him with Nazi speeches and stuff. And then he fools them by saying Sieg Heil once, and they're like, nice, he's one of us now.
Yeah.
And
Take
It's
it
actually
along.
called albinizer.
albinizer. And he gets
Albinizer.
de-albinized.
Yeah,
at the
it's
end of it.
He
de-albinized.
gets de-albinized at the end.
Spoilers.
Yeah, which I guess
gets
he
his
drank.
afro back.
I guess he drank. Maybe it's a suppository. Who knows?
Yeah. We didn't see that scene.
We didn't see that scene. Probably in the director's cut, which apparently there is one.
Yeah,
There's a
it's-
director's cut.
Oh god, it's 3 hours long.
Yeah. I would love to see
No.
this 3 hours long.
I also didn't. I can't imagine how how poorly an actor's career has to be going to sign on to play the role of James Washington in this film.
Seriously.
The entire his only character trait in this entire movie is that he's black. That's it. And they lean into it so hard. Did you guys catch the Black to the Moon poster?
Yep.
On the side of the building there?
That the fake Sarah Palin president, Stephanie Paul, I think her name is. President Stephanie Paul.
Who I didn't mind, by the way. I thought she was fun.
Yeah, she was fine. And her like weird, sardonic demon campaign manager was pretty fun too.
Disco Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah,
she was terrible.
Yeah,
Really?
she was maybe the worst thing I've ever seen on a screen.
She was like my least favorite part. She was only like a couple steps up from fucking Steve Guttenberg.
Are we going by a Steve Guttenberg scale?
Oh yeah, he is now the bottom.
Right.
And Sam Worthington is the top.
Wow, very generous.
Yeah.
I thought she
terrible.
sucked though. Yeah, she was hot garbage.
She did. Also, her character didn't make any sense.
No, her character was meaningless. Yes.
She was the angry, horny, rage-filled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was cool with Nazis,
bitch.
and then she was not cool with Nazis.
I love that this movie was ballsy enough to have a 3 months later jump in it. I thought that was so unexpected and hilarious. Where Adler, I think actually he's like second in command or something. He's some high up.
Yeah, he's not the Führer.
He's not the new Führer.
Not yet.
Not yet, but he wants to be. The sickly current Führer, played by the Courtney Cox's rich friend from the first Ace Ventura movie.
Wait, who?
The Führer who dies in this movie. That actor.
Oh, he's actually an actor. My God.
Yeah. He's in Ace Ventura. He has like a pretty decent.
Oh yeah.
He's the guy who's like having the fancy party.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's Adler is like the guy who wants to become Führer, and he goes down and gets to meet the president really easily because they kidnap this woman that we're talking about, and she falls in love with his outfit,
jacket,
German dick,
and adopts the Nazi style for Sarah Palin's re-election campaign. And then takes Nazi speeches. I don't know what this movie was doing. It's clearly like it's meant to be like a lol at Nazis and like they're an easy enemy. It's also way too pro-Nazi and racist.
It's very anti-America too.
It's very anti-America, and it takes a lot of time to like what's the woman's name? Not something Richter? Renata Richter.
Renata.
Right.
Who is the love interest of Adler, but then actually James Washington. She loves a black man. Whoa. She takes a lot of time. Like she's someone who is like, no, Nazis believe in like peace and like salvation through hard work and yada yada. And the movie takes a lot of time to give us that perspective. I just feel like Nazis would love this movie, is what I'm kind of building up to saying.
Yeah, like I said, it's the most Finnish film I've ever seen.
That's what I mean. And their depiction of black people in the United States is clearly like the northeastern Scandinavian Slavic countries' idea of what black people in the United States. Like they play basketball and then they pull guns that shoot at you. They're black people in the United States.
Haha.
It's and they say things like trippin'.
They do say things like tripping. But what I thought was interesting was that so on Wikipedia this is described as a Finnish, German, and Australian film.
Yeah.
Which means that all three countries, or I guess people from all three countries, had a hand in this movie.
In funding
in funding it. And I was floored by the fact that anybody from Germany would have any part in a movie that like semi-glorifies the Nazi party in any way.
Yeah, but I think in Europe this is like straight up comedy. Like I think even though Germany, yes, you can't go as an American citizen found out in 2016, you can't go to the streets of Berlin and just seek Heil because you'll get punched the fuck out. But I think if your movie overall has the Nazis lose in the end and all the Nazis are buffoons except for the pretty blonde who realizes the Nazi party is bad, I think that's fine for a European German.
And this movie really commits to how much German is spoken in it, which is also pretty interesting.
Yeah, at least this had that, unlike Boys from Brazil, where every scene where it's just Germans in the room. They're all speaking English.
Yep, with just those accents.
Great accents.
Yeah, and like some of the digs at the U.S. were fine because also like they're also pretty bonkers. And like the
very
politics.
nuanced, I found.
Very nuanced.
Very subtle, very nuanced perspectives and
They showed
commentary.
a thorough
on
understanding of
American
North American geopolitics. They really understood the driving factors of the United States at the time.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting when the Sarah Palin president is excited when the Nazis are attacking New York because wartime presidents always get reelected. And she's super pumped about all the massive, essentially like atomic bombs that are being dropped in the form of meteorites. And she's like, this is awesome. I thought that was cool and nuanced.
Yeah, I thought that was actually pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like showing us the real side of how things work.
I had a question. During the 1940s and World War II, was America known to the Germans as the United States of the Americas?
No, it was the USA. It was what it is to them today. It also pissed me off.
Okay.
So
I was just very unclear as to why they started doing that.
From the United States of the Americas.
You should have played Adler.
I should have.
That guy was okay, actually. I thought he did an all
Yeah,
right.
I mean, for what that character was supposed to be, I think he nailed it pretty hard.
Yep.
I thought the blonde
Renata
was like, I couldn't hear what she was saying a lot of the time.
She's like, oh, I've learned something. I have to tell you something about this.
Yeah.
This is me in a very high stakes situation.
Yeah.
It's just a very amateur, like political movie. This movie has a very amateur political outlook, and I don't know whether that's just because it was 2012 and
so
everyone
true.
was still like very won over by like, oh, Obama's president and Merkel's still chancellor, so the world is fine. But now we've thoroughly had that whole thing crushed for us, and we realized that it was never really that fine. So I don't know.
Its take on the UN, I thought, is really funny, though. It was my favorite. My favorite part of the movie was the scenes of the UN of them just kind of like laughing at each other and like trying to grandstand. The moment when they're like, "There's these spaceships, they're coming in." Japan, and Japan's like, "No, it was not me. It's definitely not me." And they're like, "Germany says you in." They're like, Germany's like, "It's definitely not me." And the guy from North Korea stands up and he's like, "This is us. Our glorious leader built them himself." And they all just laugh at him. They're like, "Sit down, North Korea." It's actually like really funny. And then the reveal later on that like the US is like, "All right, let's activate our space station." It's got a whole like, super cannon and nukes on it on their satellite, their space station or whatever. And then they're like, "We need backup." And then all the other satellites from other countries start pulling up and they all have weapons. And they're like, "Wait, you have weapons? Wait, who didn't put weapons on their satellite?" And it's actually just the guy from Finland who like raises a hand sheepishly, like, "Yeah, we
didn't weaponize our space program."
I get it though. If you're probably living in a place like Finland, you must just look at the rest of the world politics and be like, "Why is everyone doing anything to each other all the time? What the hell's going on?"
Yeah, totally.
So I can get it.
I think the last act of this film is the only part of this film that is actually watchable in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
There's actually like a point to things that are happening, and there's and in this part the political messaging they're giving is easy to understand because fuck America is still easy to understand and it's easy to portray on screen, and it's funny when you watch Sarah Palin say, "Oh, there's helium-3 on the moon, we have to kill everyone else."
Like, that's ours.
Yeah, I like that.
ours.
Yeah, dibs. That's ours.
Dibs, that's ours. What?
And there's a great dig at them too. There's a good line, and it's from the Iranian minister or something like that, where it's like, Oh, were you? Was this for war purposes, or were you there to gather resources? Because you've confused those two in the past, and I was like, oh, fucking burn. Anyway, it was funny. The UN was the best part of the movie.
Yep.
I liked the movie's depiction of how airlocks work in space.
How so?
That it's like a temporary inconvenience.
Yeah, that the vacuum is only really for when the door opens and then there's no more suction. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like they blow the airlock and both people get sucked out and then they kind of just climb back in and sit against the wall for a little while with the airlock wide open and Renata's pants around her ankles for some reason.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a moment in the film.
Oh my god.
Got to get the pretty blonde in her underwear.
Open.
Yeah. Aaron was like, why is she wearing that under her like German Nazi uniform? And I was like, well, I mean, the Fuhrer expects that you have your best underwear on at all times. So
that's right.
Wasn't she wearing like diaper panties?
And she was wearing garters.
Oh, right. She was wearing garters. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, but so scientifically though, would a depressurization of a space like that actually just be more like instant? Wouldn't it be like one big gust and then the oxygen would be gone, or would it be like a prolonged suction thing?
I think it depends how large the aperture is. But in that case,
it's a big old door.
Yeah,
so you'd think
it would all be gone.
It would just be gone right away, and then they would
die, run out of, be unable to breathe, and not like take a break before they close the door.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd explode. I think that's a myth.
Is it a miss?
I don't think you explode in space. I think you'd literally just dehydrate and you'd like dry out and just die.
You suffocate.
You suffocate.
Freeze.
Do you become a Nazi if you die in space?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think so.
Oh,
I think so. They're still figuring that out, but like most studies point to yes.
I think we should spread that rumor, even if it isn't true, because then all the Nazis will fling themselves into space.
Ooh.
You know?
Ooh.
How much technology do you imagine that modern day neo-Nazis have access to?
At least a catapult. They probably to like launch them into space. I think they could achieve low Earth orbit with a decent sized catapult, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds scientifically accurate.
I mean, I am a scientist.
Yeah.
Question.
I want go for it.
Were they trying to say that throughout the last big space war, all of Renata's students were sitting patiently in her classroom waiting for class?
Look, they already had that set built, Dan. So
like we gotta twice.
We gotta do this somewhere. We only have $1 million left.
You mean after their swastika base was nuked multiple times? Mm-hmm. Which caused some rocks
multiple times.
Yeah,
nuked
but look,
multiple times.
Fell down, so
yeah,
we got
a huge chunk of the moon blown away.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a B movie. It's a B movie. They achieved the B movie-ness.
It's
just done in the most sterile Scandinavian fucking way you could do it.
Yeah.
I wish it's like it's that tricky thing with B movie things that like you just want them to be like funnier or something.
Yeah,
I just wish it was a full
humor.
comedy. Instead, you get stupid lines like James Washington being told to paralyze the engines, and he says, "Note to self: paralyze engines." And I was like, "What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why is this happening?"
Why is it in English? Why is it in English?
I don't know.
It's a Finnish, German, Australian. Okay, they barely speak English. Movie. Then why is
Australians
it
barely
English?
speak English?
It was just a joke at our Australian fans.
Do we
Carl,
all
we love
Australian
you.
fans?
So many of them.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense for it to be in English, except for the fact that the protagonist was American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, except no,
For some reason.
Look up that actor. I'm gonna put money down. I'm gonna put $1 kajillion, and you can both collect.
Okay.
So $2 kajillion in total.
Mm-hmm.
That the actor
60-40,
they have,
calling it.
yeah, the actor they have playing James Washington is not an American.
I
He's
actually
probably
can't
like
even,
German.
I can't even find him. He's not. Oh, he was in fucking The Matrix Reloaded.
Uh-oh.
Oh, God. Let's see. Christopher Kirby is an actor and producer known for Iron Sky, Daybreakers, and Matrix Reloaded. I think that's the extent of his IMDb. Oh,
He has
moved
no
to Australia.
nationality.
What's that?
Australian.
Australia.
He moved to Australia.
Okay, from?
I don't know.
Hi,
Come-
Anita.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez. There's a lot of that in
He
these
is.
movies.
He's an Australian-American actor. That's the most I can
Okay.
find on this guy.
So you
Well,
owe
I
us
mean-
at least one of those cajillion dollars.
Sure, you can
Yeah.
split $1 kajillion here.
All right, 64.
Woo! I sent it via spoopy mail.
Ruby mail.
Yeah. This movie, unfortunately, I guess the thing that I'm trying to say is that it like, I don't expect the script to be great. It's not. Although I did enjoy like just lazy things like having her students be just exposition kids where they're in school.
Exposition
and they're
class
like-
was my favorite part of grade 9.
Yeah. And she's like,
I liked that section actually.
and she's
That
like,
was one of my likes.
when
Yeah.
did we come here? And they're like, 1945.
Yeah.
And like, who are we? We're Nazis. Where do we live? The dark side of the moon. And I was like, this is great. This is really clearing it
Yeah,
up.
I thought it was perfect.
But it like, I don't know what, I just wish it had nailed its overall tone more.
Yeah.
Because it's like trying to be campy, I think. Like, I think when James Washington makes a first escaped attempt by spinning with his space helmet and knocking down as he goes across 6 space Nazi helmets, they all fall down and then he makes a run for it. And I was like, so are we doing like a Bugs Bunny movie? Or like I just want to know what's going on. And tonally, it did feel weird. I mean,
Yeah.
they both were weird.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the moment for me where I was like, any note that I take from here on out is going to be purely me trying to be funny because I know that I can't. There's no point in trying to like poke holes in this film.
In both these
Totally.
films, I stopped taking notes about halfway in.
Yeah, I don't have a lot.
Well, I had to stop taking notes in The Boys from Brazil because every time there was so much fucking shit happening. Every time I looked away from the screen, I missed a major plot point somehow.
Yeah.
Like there's
Yeah.
there's
I
way
know.
too much shit. Every scene, every like 30 seconds, something fucking vital was happening.
But it was given in such a boring, non-vital way that you were
So
like, what the fuck?
boring. Yeah, that was rough. And then this one, I mean, I took notes, but a lot of them are just like me trying to make funny quips because like there's no sound logic of any scientific like foundation of this film, so you can't really
He fell
question
for the
it.
old one more blowjob trick, you know?
Which I didn't understand because we hear a gunshot.
Yeah.
So
Immediately, as soon as the brunette who is, I guess, or the campaign strategist, yeah, she's led off by the Nazis to be executed, and the moment she leaves the screen, you hear, and you're like, oh, she's dead. But then she comes in later and says the guard fell for the one last blowjob trick.
Yeah, they close the door and then really quickly she's like, one last blowjob. And then he's like, and he shoots into the wall so that
Oh,
they think that he's
yeah.
executed her.
Yeah.
But she's really quick. It's like one last blowjob and then and the fake shot. And then the guard isn't even dead. He just like lets her go because he's like, cool, you know?
Yeah.
Cool.
That was fun. Thanks.
Well, you know what? We don't have these on the moon, so I was very confused what you were doing.
I don't speak English.
I will call this an Earth job, and I will go back to my family, and I will.
I thought it was kind of funny that the Nazis had they'd been on literally the dark side of the moon for 70 years, so they had no idea like what the Earth was like.
Yeah.
So they find a porn mag and they're like, "What is this?
Oh,
She has no hair here."
I think I'm getting a little turned on by the magazine.
Actually, now that we said it out loud, it sounds pretty stupid again.
It was a really weird moment. Weird, yeah.
But zero time to adjust to society for Renata and Adler. They took
No.
to it like a pig to shit. Right away,
Yeah.
just thrust right into the political sphere and right at home. Totally
Yep.
comfortable.
Correct.
I
Not at
did-
all like freaking out.
No, in any way,
everything.
shape, or form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the air. We can breathe outside. Oh my god.
Yeah, and both are totally okay right away to abandon their entire patriotic mission to join up with the American party.
What was Adler's plan that he was describing as he's trying to get inside the designer to Sarah Palin?
I think I can illustrate it best just by simply going. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It was essentially, I'm gonna be the king of everything. I'm guessing.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. There you go. There it is.
That whole scene.
The
and
zoom
they're-
filter actually cuts
they-
out
they-
your.
they burst into that room, and then they're like frantically going at it, and they haven't realized that not only is the Fuhrer in the room, but he also has like 6 guards that somehow they just didn't notice coming in. Like you say, I don't even know why I'm trying to poke holes in this movie.
Go do it. We have
No,
time to burn.
I can't. I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I don't know why. There's nothing. I just like. I don't. I liked the music.
Yeah.
I'll
Some of
say
the music
that.
was cool.
Stuff.
The music was cool. Like, it was kind of like this rock and roll. They was inspired a lot by Wagnerian stuff. They had some artists actually come on and create some original music, which was cool. I thought the random choice that because it's Renata that actually finally kills Adler, right? Again, by putting a heel in his head.
Yeah, another
Heels
heel in
and
the
heads.
face.
Yeah.
That's a thing with us now.
Yeah.
Which is fucking wild to put that at the center of someone's skull with your like bare hands. That's anyway
A lot of pressure.
a lot of pressure, and to do it in a way that wouldn't break the heel. Whatever. The music they play because they were supposed to be betrothed. It's actually kind of funny. She's like, "Are you proposing?" And he's like, "Even better. I've gotten approval from the genetic like council that we are 97% Aryan match or whatever." And she's like, "How romantic." So they're supposed to be wedded. And then when he gets a heel in the head, it plays "Here Comes the Bride" like slow and in a minor key.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's actually, I like this.
The sound
it
guy
was
was
cool.
having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh shit. Oh
There he is.
one more thing I'll say about that scene.
Sorry, hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
One more thing I'll say about that scene, about them being a genetic match or whatever. Did the sheet that he hands her with all of the data on it, was it not just like a sheet full of circles with little crayon X's in it?
I thought it was a blank piece of paper.
It had some like sort of like family tree looking stuff on it with X's and check marks.
But like little like markered, because I thought that was supposed to be a funny bit where he's trying to present her with this piece of like scientific data that's been printed out by this machine, and instead it's just like a thing that he just drew up himself with crayons.
Right. I mean, I didn't really pay much of that. You clearly were very invested in this.
Yeah.
I
Bit
was
of
trying to
data.
find positives in this movie
Yeah.
because I learned very quickly that it was going to be hard, and I had to mine. You know,
This movie should have been so good, and it wasn't.
it had the potential to be really good
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
really fun, and then it kind of just flatlined.
And it's not, unfortunately, not quite, again, like you've mentioned, Sean, I think it's a fair point. It's probably like, I bet people in Europe, it's like their hilarious bad movie. But for our sentimentalities, it's like, it doesn't quite fit the like, bad B movie, which makes it so good thing. It doesn't quite, anyway.
Yeah.
Let's
Scratch that itch.
air out any other things we have. So our timer has gone, and so now we go into likes and gripes. Likes and gripes.
Likes and grapes.
Likes and gripes.
Likes and gripes.
The likes and the gripes. Is that why you're calling me at 3 in the morning?
Once a man wakes up, he never goes back to sleep at my age. Which is where we just air anything that we didn't get to. We just go through in a little lightning round of likes and gripes, and we just say anything that we didn't get to that we want to still throw out there that we either liked or griped. I'm going to say, like, I think I kind of got everything out there that I wanted to say, but if someone else wants to jump in.
I mean, sure. I'll just list off what I have here. For Boys from Brazil, I have likes. Uta Hagen, thought she was great. Dug her prosthetic kind of piggish nose. Didn't know why it was there, but I was into it. Creepy boy actor, good on you, man. You did a great job. You kind of carried this film. The crazy old man fight, one of my favorite on-screen fights of all time. Those dogs were well-trained and fucking terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah. Lieberman's face while Mangala was getting mauled was priceless. It was just a lot of like slow wincing, which like kind of like he was kind of in pain, but also fine. And I have original, albeit silly premise. You get a like for that movie because it was original enough. Gripes, Laurence Olivier's accent. Any scientific premise this movie tried to establish. Wheelock and his fucked up Hitler son. Terrible characters, horrible human beings. I hated every second they were on screen. And the aggressive credits music almost blew my ears apart and drove me nuts.
Oh, yeah. That would be my only gripe for Boys from Brazil also, or like that I haven't already said, would be that the levels for me were absolute horseshit.
Like standard 70s movie levels.
Yeah.
Where dialogue is super quiet and all the music is meant to destroy your speakers.
Yeah. So that's bad. Bad. I'm going to clarify that's a bad thing to do. Okay. Sorry.
My likes and gripes for the Boys from Brazil. I stopped doing it halfway through the film, so it's just early my likes. I put the cinematography, and I put that specifically after the shot where Lieberman gets in the elevator and his landlord is trying to talk to him by going up the stairs with him. And I thought that was a pretty cool shot, just having the camera within the elevator follow him up the stairs, and there were a couple cool things for cinematography. And then I put Pretty Brave to kill our lead. But then he wasn't the lead. It was Olivier's film. I should have known it was Olivier's film.
Of course.
Gripes, Mengele's white suit, the accents, and then I just put Jesus ... I think I just was like so fed up with the film. I went, Jesus.
Yeah, we never even talked about the insane like Nazi ball that happens at one point.
With the wife.
Oh, right.
He's like, I love you, and what's it? So Mengele freaks out because one of the guys he sent out to kill one of these dudes is back, and he's like, "You traitor!" and pushes him into a table, and then starts screaming. And then the wife is like, he needs a doctor. And he's like, I am a doctor, you stupid bitch.
Ugly bitch.
Ugly bitch. Sorry. Yeah, we didn't even talk about any of that. That's what happens in this movie.
She says, get a doctor. He says, I am a doctor, idiot. And then and then she says, don't you come near him. And he says, shut up, you ugly bitch.
You ugly bitch.
Oh, again,
that's
very sorry.
We needed to have that correct for sure. That's about the point in the film when I started hallucinating. So
yeah. It was so weird.
Cool. For Iron Sky,
go for it.
I have so my likes. I liked the Nazi Darth Vaders, which is what I was calling the Nazi
stormtroopers. Yeah.
I dug the swastika army base. I thought it was kind of on the nose, but the design was pretty cool.
Yep.
I talked about the printout already. I liked Renata's when they land on Earth and then Adler and Washington come out first, and then she reveals that she was in the ship too and has the most awkward sexy walk down the ramp. I don't know if you guys noticed it. But I loved it. Dope ass Nazi entrance into the Oval Office, where they slow everything down and the camera kind of kind of turns and they're blasting hip hop rock music.
Right.
That was fun. The Indian rep in the UN defending his ring because the swastika is a symbol of peace in the Indian culture, and he's no, this
Buddhism.
Is it Buddhism? Yeah. That was really funny. And one of my favorite lines is when Washington and and Renata have been taken in by the police, and it's the first scene where the cop sits down. He's like, "So let me get this
that's pretty
straight.
funny.
You're a dead black model that was transformed into a white hobo after spending a weekend on the moon. Do I have that right?"
He's like, "That's correct."
Yeah.
And she's like, "It's true.
I was
All
there.
true."
Gripes. Black to the Moon. Fuck you movie. Those thugs on the basketball court are terrible shots. Gripe. Also, no one from that neighborhood is going to walk up to a group of gangbangers with a swastika on his arm. So gripe. Also.
Yeah, that was stupid as shit.
Super fucking stupid. The campaign manager, the actor, the character, everything about it was awful. Gripe. Video games do not make you capable of flying an aircraft.
Oh,
I just
yeah,
want
it does it in
to
this
state
movie
that
too.
again for anybody listening to this podcast. Video games do not make you a pilot.
Dan, we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
I could probably
soft
fly.
disagree. Yeah,
I could probably fly one of Elon Musk's vessels.
yeah.
I liked. Fuck you guys. I liked the.
Apparently there's an Iron Sky video game. Apparently, but I
There
don't know.
is.
We
And
got to
a board
play it
game.
and do a video game episode.
There's a board game of it too. I liked the cop rolling up on a Segway for some reason because the technology in 2018 apparently is like 200 years further along than we actually are.
Oh boy.
Not that Segways are like high technology, but anyways. And de-albanizer. I just have Jesus Christ. Gripe. Bad. That's it. I'm done.
My likes. I actually really enjoyed. I lulled when she talked about The Great Dictator, the Charlie Chaplin film, being the greatest short film that they've ever made, and I was like,
It's a great 10-minute film.
yeah. And then I was like, they'll leave it at that. But then that's actually they go to see the full version on Earth, and it's what changes her mind about Nazism. And I thought that was funny.
I'm pretty sure that block, that cinema, if they're actually in New York, it looks like the same, like one of the same shots of Taxi Driver. There's a shot of that sidewalk that looks.
I doubt they weren't anywhere near the United States for this film.
I know, but it looks a lot like it. Who knows? They don't have there wasn't a U.S. filming crew. You're right.
Yeah. I lulled at their space battleship being called the USS George W. Bush.
Right.
And honestly, the whole space battle, it's the only thing I remember from watching it the last couple times. And it's because it's actually kind of dope to watch these weird spacecraft shoot at each other.
Yeah.
Gripes. Everything to do with race in this film.
Yep.
Big old red flag. And it doesn't take like 20 minutes to fly from the Earth to the moon. I'm pretty sure it takes like 3 days. So the entirety of the last act should have been 3 days. It's just my gripe.
I just have a note here that says, just casually going to fly to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Look, Adler takes a nap.
Yeah.
On his way
Time has
back.
passed.
What
so,
more do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes like 36 or 48 hours or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I hear you. All the race stuff. I made a little note too. There was some line where it's not the president. I think it's the designer woman when she's upset that her design team has failed her. Where she's like, it's not the president of something. It's not the president of Zambia. Yeah. And I was like, what? What are you saying right now?
Oh.
Are you being racist in your movie that's making fun of Nazis?
What?
What?
Oh, they were repeatedly.
And it's like them being blatant and like it's again it's like it's supposed to be. This is also a gripe. This is, by the way, it's supposed to be maybe again a Finnish person's idea of like what like increasing black visibility is. That like Sarah Palin is like, well, look, I even sent a black guy to the moon, for good publicity. That it's just like using them as pawns. And I was like, okay, you are kind of making a point, but also what is this movie doing?
But also, you're doing exactly what the point is you're trying to make.
Yes. Yeah. I have nothing else I want to add to this movie.
Yep.
Great. Well, then let's rate these motherfuckers.
Rate them.
So how we rate these movies is that we have 5 categories. Looks good, sounds good, acts good, story good, and rewatchability. No, sorry, just rewatchability. Slash, would you rather? Slash, if you had to. Slash, if you had a gun to your head.
Yeah.
Slash, movie to show at your funeral. Slash, enjoyability. Slash, movie you'd recommend to your yoga instructor.
Yeah.
Do I like my yoga instructor?
I
You like the progress that you're getting from the classes.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Good. I had to clarify that. That's an important. Okay.
Yeah. And so whichever movie gets just the majority of those categories is declared the Citizen Kane of the week. This is going to be odd. I haven't thought about this.
Yeah,
Right away, acting. So
we're doing acting.
We're gonna go acting first.
Oh, sorry. No, looks.
Change it up.
Looks. I'm sorry.
Right.
No, you're right. Let's stick to the formula. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I meant looks. So looks though, still.
Mhm.
Like Iron Sky has a bunch of neat design stuff. I actually liked the general industrial look of the space moon bases. I thought the outfits and design were good. The CG actually doesn't look bad. It's got some stuff. Whereas there is also cinematography and like lots of set dressing, and like they clearly put a lot into The Boys from Brazil.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yep.
You're not going to vote?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't have a vote yet.
I
don't know.
will vote. I will say that while in the past I have gone with the movie that has cinematography over the movie that has just excessive CGI, I cannot excuse the fact that, I mean, we've been watching a lot of movies from the 70s lately.
Yeah.
And the ones that we've watched have some really phenomenal cinematography happening. And then we have Boys from Brazil, which is a movie shot in 78.
Yeah.
That looks like it was filmed in like 55.
Correct.
And that is hard to excuse. Iron Sky knew what it was going for. It had a look, it had a vision, and I thought it was cool. I thought it relied heavily on like a Star Wars-esque tone and motif. But I had a lot more fun looking at it. I was furious by the Boys from, I want to say Boys from the Burbs, which is a play that my friend was in like 5 years ago.
It really left an impression on you.
Well, it's just so close to my heart. No, the Boys from Brazil, there were so many times where I was watching it and I was like, what fucking year was this made? Because again, the Batman thing. They can't be like Adam West, like 2 decades too old thing. So I'm going to go with Iron Sky for looks.
Sean?
Yeah, if Boys from Brazil had kept the cinematography from the first 20 minutes of this film, if they'd kept that going throughout the film, easily would have won this point. Iron Sky taking it because it actually had a unified vision. Boom.
Yeah, I think I would have said Iron Sky too. So Iron Sky for looks.
Oh boy.
And then I'll come out swinging this round though for sounds good. I'm gonna fucking say Iron Sky again. It had dope original music, creative choices. The levels weren't horseshit. All around win for Iron Sky for me on this one.
Yep. Again, Boys from Brazil, the movie started and had that really cool like bum 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 bum, really like dramatic score, and I was digging the credits. Normally, I hate when it's static credits, but the music was keeping me engaged. And
there was like suspenseful, like tailing music and stuff.
Yeah,
it was not bad.
And then, as the film progressed, you realized that the seriousness of the movie did not match the idiocy of the pretense for the movie. So ultimately, there was no vision there either. So Iron Sky takes it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Iron Sky too.
Okay, great. So should we do? Sometimes we switch these. Should we do acting or story first? What do you think?
I think that the boys from Brazil needs a bit of a break. So let's go with
Story?
acting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh. Am
Wait.
I wrong?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Well, okay, let's do story. Wait, what are we doing? Acting.
let's do acting. Let's do acting. The acting in both of these movies is terrible.
Sure. Yes. But there are more. I think there are more grounded and redeeming moments of performance in The Boys from Brazil than there are in Iron Sky.
You've convinced me.
Really?
I think so. This was really up in the air, but like thinking back over every moment in Iron Sky when I went, and every moment in Boys from Brazil when I went, there was at least some moments in Boys from Brazil where I went, oh, okay. But there were none of those in Iron Sky.
But do the few moments where they're like frantic ravings as deranged actors like happen to hit the right spot at all make up for the multitude, the vast majority of moments where they were like literally just shooting blanks out into the world, just like wondering what the fuck was going to stick where? Like the craziest performances I've ever seen.
Here's how I'll respond to that. I will always watch a weird failed choice over no choice. And Iron Sky had a lot of no choice.
That's a good
You're such
point.
an actor, Sean.
Jeez.
Yeah, and I just think back to the Uta Hagen scene in the
she's
jail.
good.
She was great. I thought the lawyer was great. I thought that like Laurence Olivier, his accent was.
I wish he had no accent.
Yeah, I mean it was straight up like out of a cartoon, but what he was doing as an actor, what he was doing to portray a human being with a laughable accent wasn't awful.
Yeah, his last scene in the hospital bed is pretty good.
Yeah, he was making some interesting choices. Like he's clearly a guy who knows how to act. I didn't see that at all. I didn't see that at all in Iron Sky.
Did you say Laurence Olivier is at least a guy who knows how to act?
I said he's clearly a guy who knows how to act. Clearly a guy who knows how to act.
You could say that about Laurence Olivier.
I mean, I need some more proof to say something like that. If I'm
well,
being
see,
honest.
here's the thing: is that this was my first exposure to him. I've never seen another movie with Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, I think same.
So that was disappointing for me. That I know who he is, obviously.
Yeah.
But my only point of reference is like literal dog shit.
But then, what do you mean? Why do you think that, huh?
Yeah. But even that all said, I would still have to go with Boys from Brazil, just because there was more stuff.
Whereas like
human moments.
I'll put it this way: there was a lot of bad acting, and with some good acting moments in Boys from Brazil.
Yeah.
But Iron Sky is devoid of acting.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
So
So point to Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, here we go.
The country of Brazil gets the point in that
Country of Brazil.
Story. So I started this podcast by saying these are both completely bonkers stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know which one is more insane in terms of the 94 clones of Hitler plot that the Germans made, or the moon base German storyline there. I don't know, but it depends. Like which one is more satisfying. I would say both the scripts are bad. I don't think the script is good in Boys from Brazil either. If I'm being honest, it is not clean and not super good. Like
I'll go
fight
first
for that script.
I'll go first, and I will say yes, but Boys from Brazil at least establishes the reasons for the insanity better than Iron Sky does.
Mm-hmm. And so yes, both scripts are bad.
Okay, yeah.
Both scripts are bad. That goes without saying. One movie takes itself seriously.
Mm-hmm.
One movie seems like it's not supposed to, but then also kind of does.
Yeah.
And that's my problem, is that if Iron Sky had been more fun, this would be an easy point for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's a fun premise that's not meant to make any sense. It's meant to be ridiculous, or so it seems. But then the movie gets going, and you suddenly don't really know if it's supposed to be an earnest movie or not, right? There, some of the explanations and some of the way they tie things together in Boys from Brazil is pretty flimsy, but there's
know
enough.
what that plot is.
Yeah, there's enough foundation there. I mean, again, I actually appreciated how original the plot was, and it wasn't like it was silly, but it was definitely enough to keep me engaged. So yeah, mainly because Iron Sky wasn't as fun as it should have been, I'm going to go with Boys from Brazil.
Yeah.
Sean?
Boys from Brazil was my pick.
All right. Well, then I just won't cast a vote.
What would you have chosen?
I abstain.
Did you tie them? Are you giving them a tie?
I just don't want to have to choose.
Coward.
So there's not even a tie. It's just they both lose for me.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at a 2-2 tie going into rewatchability.
This is going to be the hardest one for me, I think, because I can't imagine a world in which I want to watch either one of these films again.
I mean, part of me wants to give it to Iron Sky just because it's shorter.
Yeah.
Like if I had to watch,
but it somehow feels longer.
Oh,
A movie like that. Again, I'll go back to the whole idea of like, this isn't a fun, wacky roller coaster like you think it's gonna be. It just kind of meanders. So once the movie gets going, you feel like you're getting pulled through molasses to the finish line. At least Boys from Brazil has a story that like propels forward and grows in intensity as it chugs along. I mean,
so wait,
I don't know.
Sorry, Dan. So are you saying that you, Dan Benoit, are more likely to watch Boys from Brazil again before you watch Iron Sky? I just want to clarify.
I think that's where I'm going. I am.
Yeah.
Let me just.
Are you kidding me?
Let me just.
Dan,
let me
that is
just
an
preface this.
absolute lie.
Let me just preface this with I am absolutely never going to watch either one of these films again if my life depends on it, or unless my life depends on it. If my life depends on it and I have to choose one, which is the category.
That's literally what you always insist that I call this category, like if you had to.
Well, I say would you rather.
Okay, would you rather, whatever.
Which is different, because I would rather give myself a fucking vasectomy. But but if I had
think
to
Mengele
choose,
can do that for you.
I think he can, and give me blue eyes. I think if I had to, I would go with Boys from Brazil again. I think there's more stuff there. I think there's kind of like you say with some of these films that we watch. I think there's more that can be kind of discovered on a rewatch, and there's nothing in Iron Sky.
Jack, did you cast your vote for Iron Sky?
I mean, again, I'm in a look. I'm not like fighting a hard fight here. Like I'm also
everybody
happy
loses this week
to not watch these movies.
Stop doing this to us, Sean.
No,
it's
never.
okay. I love when the podcast is a which movie sucks less episode. Dan's like, we should like watching the movies, and I'm like, no, let's.
But we watch so many of them. We should enjoy it sometimes.
Yeah.
That's my argument.
Sometimes I've made lots of fun pairings. We'll see for next week. We'll see. But I think like I struggle with a movie like Boys from Brazil, which was just like so droning and bland and like and I just got the vibe that they must have thought that it was so cool what they were doing at the time, but like to watch it now, it was like predictable and stale. Whereas like I at least had some fun and like had some laughs watching Iron Sky. And I was like, these battle scenes are like all right. I was like, I enjoy some of the concepts you're putting out there. I'd like, again, I'm enjoying this like weird view of global politics. I'm I was at least enjoying things in the movie. I was at least enjoying some of the music. I was at least enjoying, whereas like I didn't enjoy much of anything in The Boys from Brazil.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's the thing where I'm just confused because I gave points, like my points in favor of Iron Sky, of looks and sounds, are actually because I thought they were good. Like I thought they were like decent and I enjoyed them. And then acting and story for me were like, well, they were both terrible, but I guess this one. So I just, did you enjoy, like, what were the things, Dan, that you enjoyed about The Boys from Brazil? And did you actually enjoy nothing from Iron Sky?
I enjoyed the plot of Boys from Brazil more than I enjoyed the plot of Iron Sky. I was let me rephrase this, because I was excited by the synopsis of Iron Sky. When I read the little blurb about it, I got pumped because I thought it was going to be right up my alley.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't. It was a disappointing mess. And at least there was a story that I could follow that I found mildly intriguing with Boys from Brazil. Right. And there were some decent acting moments. I thought that there were some unsettling visuals. There wasn't anything really notable about Iron Sky except for ridiculous fails, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked better as a film, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that the technology was there.
Yeah.
I think
that's okay. It's fine. I just don't know what's happening to you, Dan. You
So
used to be
this podcast is really changing my perspective on films.
You're like, if you had watched these movies doing the dishes, you would have totally preferred Iron Sky. But instead,
100%.
It sounds like you're sitting and watching them now, which I'm not in favor of.
but that's it. That's the problem.
I love also, sorry, that there's like a standard for schlock that like you feel betrayed by Iron Sky. so like to spite it,
but like if you're gonna
you're
go
choosing
for
this like weird essay of a movie,
if you're gonna go for like the bad, shitty, ridiculous B movie that's not supposed to make sense, it's just supposed to be a fun, silly premise, then lean into it. Make it fun, make it funny. Don't make it flat. Don't have it filled with bad acting. Have good actors who can do the material justice. Make it a live action cartoon. Make it what you're setting it up to be. You know what I mean?
Looks like I'm the deciding vote.
Yeah, I'm Iron Sky.
Well, Jack, you're going Iron Sky? Okay, this is really
Iron
close.
Sky. It had things that I liked in it, is my strong argument.
Sure.
This week broke all our stereotypes in terms of
and
voting.
I really can't reinforce enough that I hated both these films. So this is not me. This is not me in favor of Boys from Brazil. I really didn't have a good time this week.
It sounds like it's like your favorite movie now.
Yeah,
it might be.
Get you a Blu-ray.
It was Maurice's favorite movie. She fucking loved it. She ate this shit up, and then she like yelled at me about it when Iron Sky was done. Like literally yelled at me. She was so annoyed at how bad it was.
That's hilarious.
Sounds like you're being influenced from outside.
Well, he did get shit for Coyote Ugly, so he's making up for it.
That's true.
That non-classic.
Yeah. Well, I would say with my vote, one of these films has something I can probably get from a second watch, and the other one doesn't. So I'm going to go with Boys from Brazil.
Yes.
You cheap bastard. You just like Laurence Olivier. He's like
no. I think everyone except Uta Hogg and in certain parts the little boy were dreadful in this film. But there are probably things written in that, knowing the end of the film, if I go back and watch them, I will pick up a little more and maybe enjoy it a little more. Iron Sky, I'm done with that film. I'm done.
So just wait until I pitch the sequel. So.
Like, I will watch the sequel because it's made in 2019, so it might be a little more mature. Let's say.
Yeah, I'll watch the fuck out of the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like that's cheating. If that's like part of rewatchability is like, would you watch more of the thing? Anyway,
I will watch Boys from. I would love to watch a remake of Boys from the Brazil. Will be its remade title.
Can Ewan McGregor be in it?
I want Ewan McGregor as
Love
Mangala.
Ewan McGregor.
I want Denis Villeneuve directing. I want Denis Villeneuve directing.
I want him directing everything.
I do. He's the greatest director on the planet right
I
now.
think Quentin
I think-
Tarantino directs this movie.
I
Directs
think he'd
Boys
be a
from
great.
Brazil.
What's his name? Fincher or whatever.
David Fincher?
Fincher
Yeah,
would do
I
well
think
with
That
Fincher
this.
would be a very different movie tonally.
Yeah. Well, this should be a psychological thriller
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
at the end you're like, it's clones?
Right.
I want
George
M. Night-
Lucas
I want
should-
M. Night
should direct it.
Shyamalan's
Yeah.
Boys from Brazil.
I guess
Ooh,
that
that'd be
is
fun.
definitely a Shyamalan.
That's what I want. And
But even a
Mark
Shyamalan-
Wahlberg plays Lieberman, and he fully is just a Bostonian.
Yeah, I'm looking down for some Nazis. No,
Yeah, I'm famed Nazi hunter, fucking Ezra Lieberman.
almost. It's kind of close again. All right. Well, I guess
So-
that means that
The Citizen Kane of the week is. I'm not saying it. I don't want to say it.
you,
I didn't vote for it.
Daniel
All right.
together.
Yeah.
The
Boys
I
from
Brazil.
Can we get? Oh yeah.
Yay.
Can we get a sad drum roll? Can it instead of a drum roll? Can we have wah 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 wah?
It's just a baby crying.
Yeah, exactly.
A clone, maybe.
So somehow that's who emerged victorious this week.
Oh, disgusting.
But great
Somehow.
pairing.
Yeah, that's a good pairing.
I had a great time, and I think I don't want to deter anyone. Honestly, if you have discovered this podcast in 3 years and you're like, oh, I want to compare these movies, they are fun movies to watch once.
Maybe be a little shit faced for Iron Sky,
Oh yeah, maybe be a little shit faced for Iron Sky.
and like maybe take some acid before Boys from Brazil.
No, I
Yeah.
think you need to be entirely sober for Boys from Brazil because there's so much shit happening in the first like half hour of that
Yeah,
film.
like have a
that-
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
Watch it
really
first thing in
the
the morning.
emotional crux of the film is on the revelation of Hitler clones. And if you're out of your mind for that revelation, I think it's way better.
I guess, but by the point of the movie where the revelation is made, you've already figured it out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they're
Yeah.
movies. They're movies that are, they will expand your ideas of what movies are. No question about that. They're pretty neat. They're pretty neat.
What's next for us there, Jack?
Yeah, I kind of realized that I was like, oh shit, it's me, and I kind of remembered a pairing that I teased doing before.
Oh no.
I'm excited to have. I think it'll be our first ever Citizen Kane versus sequel of sorts.
Ooh.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
So I'm excited to bring this
Oh,
back.
no.
I don't think I've seen either of these movies. So fucking who knows how it's gonna go. They probably couldn't be more different, but that's gonna be fun.
Okay.
But I'm pitching The Grapes of Wrath versus Wrath of the Titans.
Shit.
All right.
What is the Grapes of Wrath about? Do we know?
No idea. It's a classic book.
It's a classic book. There's a movie from the 30s.
Oh my god, it's from the 30s?
It's black and white, I'm pretty sure.
No, I'm looking
I
it
have-
up. Hold on.
I'm 100% in on this.
I've heard it referenced so many times and like just like, shit.
1939.
Like I'm excited to finally know what The Grapes of Wrath is.
Yeah.
I have no fucking clue what it's
It's
about. It's
2
probably the
hours and
Civil
9
War.
minutes.
Nice.
What is it about?
The IMDb blurb just says a poor Midwest family is forced off their land. They travel to California, suffering the misfortunes of the homeless in the Great Depression. Oh no!
Looking forward to this.
2 hours of that in black
Yes.
and white.
Yeah.
Who directed this? I want to say Elia Kazan. No, John Ford.
Ford.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
good pairing.
I mean, at
Great
least one
pairing.
of those films will be
That's
fun.
hopefully it'll be another classic Citizen Kane versus pairing. of
Is Mr.
a,
Worthington in Wrath of the Titans?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
he
pretty
sure
sure.
is.
I'm pretty
And
sure
so
he's
is,
back. That's right.
Love
So
it.
is Mr. Liam Neeson.
Beautiful. Hey, that was our first episode. Clash.
Oh yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Oh, so long
So,
ago.
bringing
We've
it
grown
back.
so much.
We've all grown so much beard since then.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I've grown quite a bit in this podcast and my appreciation for classic cinema.
Good.
I
Yeah.
think we've
You've
really
washed a
benefited from
lot
this.
of dishes.
I don't wash dishes while I watch these movies, you fuckers. I watch these movies.
We're not saying it's
Fuck
what you
you
do.
guys.
It's just your preferred way to watch movies beforehand.
Yes. Although I will say I've recently rediscovered Drag Race, which is now my new dishwashing show.
Oh, I see.
So movies are reserved for viewing,
Wow.
and then
All
I
right.
watch Men in Drag while I do house chores.
You've heard it here first, folks. Movies are for watching. That's
And
an
don't
official.
you forget it.
That's an official
That's a
Citizen
t-shirt
Kane
right
versus.
there.
Yeah, that's our movies are for viewing.
Yeah. Love it.
So yeah, those are the movies for next week.
Cool.
And we'll find out what the connective tissue is.
Man, these movies beat us down. We are so low energy right now.
Yeah, I'm ready for bed.
Well, it's
I'm
hard
gonna-
because like
I'm gonna have
I
dinner and some
watched
bourbon.
I watched one last night right before I went to sleep, which like means I didn't sleep very well. And then I watched the other one right before we recorded this. So it's hard to do that and then do a 2-hour podcast. It's just
Yeah.
like 8 condensed hours.
Well, let's do our Thanos teasers and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just
Yeah.
keep them quick. So Thanos teasers. This is a little thing we like to do, just as a little sign off to the podcast, where we, much like they did in the MCU build up to Thanos' arrival, and they would have him appear in post credit scenes to other Marvel movies and do something random. We imagine what a Thanos teaser, some random thing he might do after every movie that we watch. It's a fun little thing to do with any movie you see. So does anyone have one they want to start with right away? Anyone have one?
I
just wanna
have
brainstorm with
one
me.
for the boys from Brazil.
Yep.
So mine is the credits roll out. We fade in on the outside of the outside of like a cryptic building, and little like digital title card pops up at the bottom of the screen that says Young Jewish Defenders Headquarters. And we cut to a close-up of the guy who was representing the Young Jewish Defenders in the movie, who was trying to get the list of kids' addresses.
Yeah, Hitler's.
Yeah. The
The
children
little
to
Hitlers,
murder. Yeah.
And he's he's sheepishly admitting, my lord, I'm so sorry. He burned the list, and I was unable to fulfill my task. I don't know where the little Hitlers are anymore. I have failed you. And then we cut to the back of a gigantic throne floating in midair that turns to reveal Thanos in a yarmulke as he grins at the
Oh, dear.
as he grins at the camera and just says, I guess I'll have to do it myself. Credits.
L'chaim.
L'chaim, yeah. As he's circumcising a baby.
He's performing a brisk.
He's performing a brisk.
A bris?
And eating a brisk. He's performing a brisk and eating a brisk.
A bris and a
sandwich.
brisket. Yeah.
Is it called a bris?
A bris.
Oh, I thought there was a.
I mean,
K
it's
at the end.
probably pretty brisk.
I mean,
And Dan's lost.
a brisk and a brisket. That's funny.
Ugh. Oh, this meat's so tender. Anyways,
oh fuck.
mine is actually it's the teaser to the end of Infinity War, and you get Thanos. He snaps, and half of existence disappears, and then it's a montage of him actually going through one of these like routes from Germany through Italy onto a boat, and the next we see him, it's his little like escape planet, but it's actually just the jungles of Argentina. And he's sitting, and then we get like the first scene of this movie where he's having lunch on the beach, and someone comes up and whispers something in his ear, and he has to go do secret Nazi stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not funny, but I don't care.
I also thought it might be funny. It might be funny if we just show a scene where Thanos is the dad of one of these baby Hitlers. But
65-year-old Thanos.
Yeah, 65-year-old Thanos, but like his wife has died many years before, so now it's just him alone raising this like tyrannical child.
Right.
And it's just like a scene of him just like getting yelled at and abused by his kid while he like sheepishly tries to to like maintain order in the house.
Whatever you do, son, do not play with the glove in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck you! You're not my real dad.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar vibe of like that kind of theme where it was like the movie cuts to like it's like a slightly rainy day and we're looking through a window of the neighboring house of where the Wheelicks, the Wheelick people, right? The guy, the last Hitler kid that we see, and it's like the next house over down the road, and you can see there's like flashing sirens, there's police at the house, and then it pans away from the window and it moves on the room and it goes to the door and you hear the two parents fighting, being like, you heard what happened? Well, yeah, because the kid, yeah, he's a little clone of Hitler. Yeah, Hitler clone, it's ridiculous. And they're fighting and they're screaming. It's like, no. It's like, and they're talking about like, well, our kid, well, should we look, maybe our kid's Hitler? There's no way our kid's Hitler. Well, we adopted him around the same time. And it's like, there's no way. And then it like pans over to like this like nervous child. There's like this little purple kid. And this is realizing that it's a little like Thanos clone.
Nice. I also just want to point out that I think that the sequel to The Boys from Brazil should be called The Last Hitler.
Ooh, so it focuses on the last of the 94 boys that survive?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And the ghost of Mengele is protecting him?
Yeah, but it's like it kind of has like a Highlander tone where he's really just like traveling the earth solo, fighting, or he's like fighting other Hitlers as an adult because there can only be one.
I was gonna say there's like a tontine involved where like the last one alive gains access to like the Hitler, like the Nazi gold or whatever.
Yeah.
They each have a key from birth.
They get the key to the swastika army base on the moon.
Right. Yeah, because these movies probably take place in the same universe.
I mean, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, and it's all owned by Disney now, probably.
My stupid Thanos teaser for Iron Sky is that because there's actually a neat little like it pans out from the Earth as like all the countries start nuking each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it ends up panning out all the way to Mars. And so I think it's either Mars or it goes to even further. It goes to Pluto. I don't know, whatever. It goes another planet back, and then on the backside of another planet, you see another station, and it's I don't know. It's not a swastika, but maybe it's sort of swastika-esque. It's like a space swastika,
Right.
And then it like zooms into like the control room, and you see it moves past it's like Thanos's beheaded body from Endgame. And it's like suspended in like a large test tube thing, and then it moves over, and then there's this jar being lowered onto like a robot and like being screwed on, and it gets screwed on, and it's like Thanos's face, but it's like old face from after he's like been burnt himself and whatever, and it pans back and he lifts a robot arm, but it's like a steampunk same kind of look, and maybe he says Sieg Heil, I don't know, and then maybe he's a Nazi now.
Sure.
Nice. I kind of like the idea of like the shot of Earth as all the nukes are going off in different countries and the missiles are landing, and then cuts to Thanos in the cockpit of his spaceship as he's like staring at his now full Infinity Gauntlet, just like overwhelmed with excitement about carrying out his plan, and he's like practicing his snap, and he looks through the windshield of his spaceship to see that Earth is already like destroying itself, and just him being like, oh man, and, and just getting all of his hopes and dreams dashed because humanity already destroyed itself.
You kind of inspired mine, I think.
He's like, oh, you gotta be tripping.
Yep. Mine is actually, there's no Thanos involved. It's the nuclear war has begun on Earth, and we cut to Tony Stark as Iron Man, and he's he's got the nuke that was coming from New York, and it's just that
Sean's
scene.
acting this out, by the way, if you're at home.
And
listening.
he brings it up and he launches it in through wormhole, blah blah blah, and then he falls back to Earth, and he crashes, and all the Avengers are around him, and he wakes up and he's like, "We did it, we saved humanity." As they're like, and then the 30 other nukes that are coming appear over the horizon.
And then Black Widow reloads her pistol.
But it's shot from her butt for some reason. Yeah,
The pistol or the
Jaws.
scene?
the scene, the entire scene is just shot through her butt.
That really recontextualizes the falafel eating scene or the shawarma scene already in the post credits to that movie. That's actually them just giving in to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
On that note.
was a great episode, everyone.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for listening to those of you that stuck with us.
Yeah. Call to action.
Yeah, subscribe, leave a review, share with your friends, comment, send us emails.
CitizenKaneVS@gmail.com. YouTube is we don't
Citizen
actually have a name,
Kane. Yeah, Citizen Kane versus Citizen Kane VS on
Right.
YouTube. You can you can watch the videos of these podcasts there. You can leave suggestions for movie comparisons or Thanos teasers in the comments, and we'll read them and choose them or read them aloud on air. You can also email us at citizenkanevs@gmail.com with any kind of
Instagrams.
Yeah, we're also on Instagram. We're at Citizen Kane VS Podcast. That's mainly just kind of posters of the movies we compare, and it has links to all the different platforms you can listen to us on. And you can reach out to us with any kind of feedback you want. Just we encourage you to kind of be part of the process with us. And if you like what you hear, we encourage you and we ask you to rate and review our podcast. You can do that on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or on Podcast Addict or on Spotify. That goes a long way to getting us kind of higher in search engines and just getting more kind of ad space for us. So
You're a pluggable guy now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm going to rephrase it this way. Just smash the buttons if you think Dan is handsome. How about that? If you think
Ooh, but
Dan
you
is
have to-
handsome, hit
Yeah.
the like button and leave a comment.
And if you
There
think
You gotta
Sean is
watch
handsome,
YouTube to
hit
find
the
out.
dislike button.
if we get 1,000 likes on any episode, then Dan will take off his shirt.
Yes,
I will do that.
he will.
I will do that. If we get 1,000 likes on any episode, I will take
Yeah.
off my shirt.
10,000, you'll do an entire episode topless.
Yeah.
There it
What
is. That's,
I'll
this is
I'll
how we're going to
do-
get a real.
let's do it.
We're
Let's do
gaming
it.
the system, baby.
I will whore myself out for the betterment of this
And
podcast. everyone.
then
Let's
we
do it.
were an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, and
Citizen Kane versus
Space Nazis.